Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live broadcast. Tonight we're looking at Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Fives, Sutta 154, the Pattama Sadhamma Samosa Sutta. Samosa. It's funny, isn't a samosa an Indian food? I don't suppose that's where it comes from, because samosa here means, it comes from samoha, merce. Probably a corruption of moha, or related to the word moha, muh. So it means the corruption, perhaps, or the loss, the clouding, let's say, the clouding of the good Dhamma. Maybe it's the loss of the good Dhamma, the lapse. And then, so samosaya antaradhanaya, antaradhana means the disappearance. So we're concerned about this, right? We're concerned about what causes the Dhamma to become clouded and lost, to fade away, to not shine bright, to not appear in all its splendor in the world. We should be concerned about this for our own well-being. Keeping the Dhamma clear in our own minds, in our own lives. But we should also be concerned in general that the Dhamma remain in the world. The Dhamma being that which is considered good, that which keeps people from falling into corrupt, evil ways and hurting and killing each other and manipulating each other and torturing and hurting ourselves. It's what brings light to the world. That's what we mean by the Dhamma, the truth, righteousness, reality. Because delusion, illusion, falsehood, unrighteousness, all of these things, they darken the world. When people lack love and compassion and sympathy, and they lack equanimity and objectivity and impartiality, and they become partial and jealous and conceited and greedy. So the Dhamma, it's of great importance that the Dhamma stay in the world, and that we work to keep the Dhamma in the world, not just in this life, but in the next life. It's not enough to think, well, I know the Dhamma, so I don't have to help keep the Dhamma in the world. If we don't become enlightened in this life, we'll have to come back, and we'll still need the Dhamma in the future. It's like why we have to worry about the environment. I'm going to die soon, and I won't have to be around to deal with the effects of climate change. Not so fast. It's not about just leaving it for the next generation. We are the next generation. If you happen to be born as a human again next life, yeah, it's not looking so good. Not in terms of the environment, anyway. It's going to get hotter. Today was hot. for an October day in Ontario. Anyway, so we need the Dhamma. The Dhamma is what keeps the world cool. It's what keeps the world pure. And so as we lose the Dhamma, we become more coarse. The world becomes more corrupt and polluted. Our minds become more corrupt and polluted. And the world around us as well. So we have the Book of Fives, we have 5 Dhammas, Panchime Bhikkhave Dhamma, that lead to the disappearance, the confounding, the loss of the Dhamma. And there's several suttas. This is the first one, but I like this one because it relates to something specific. These 5 are related to learning the Dhamma. How do we preserve the Dhamma? We have 5 ways. 5 ways that we are unable to preserve the Dhamma. 5 reasons. The first one is that we don't respectfully listen to the Dhamma. Na sakatjang dhammang sunanti. Sakatjang means respectfully. With some measure of sincerity and severity. We take it as a joke. Come on here, you listen to me for some entertainment, and maybe you post some funny questions, and maybe you sit and laugh about it, or sit with your friends drinking beer and listening to the Dhamma, smoking and listening to the Dhamma, eating and listening to the Dhamma. Maybe eating was you could make an allowance for that, but still, not really, because when you listen to the Dhamma, when you cultivate this mind state of not taking it seriously, the biggest thing is you don't retain in the same way as if you were listening mindfully. Listening and meditating is a really good way because your mind is much more receptive, much more able to get the gist of what's being said. If you're distracted by anything, it's not a good way to listen to the Dhamma. Exercising and listening to the Dhamma. You go for a run and you listen to a talk. Maybe you're just too distracted because you're running and because you're tired. Something to think about, that when we do listen to the Dhamma, especially now because we have such access to talks, we can drive and listen to the Dhamma. And some people say, well, that's great when I can drive, and it gives me because I drive for an hour a day or 2 hours a day, and it gives me an opportunity to listen. There's something about it still, because your mind is not fully on it. Your mind is half on the driving and half on the Dhamma. That would be considered nasakatjang, not with any measure of sincerity, or not with a full measure of care and sincerity. Your mind isn't fully engaged. But I think that's all maybe conjecture. The most clearly what the Buddha is saying here is without respect, disrespectfully. So if you listen without any feeling of the importance of the Dhamma, of course, doing all those running, driving, you can still have a sense of appreciation of the Dhamma, respect. And it's something to consider. It's not fully respectful. It's not reverent in the same way as if you turn off, close all the windows, shush everyone, and sit respectfully, quietly, and listen to the Dhamma. It's much more respectful. I think to some extent it's preferred. I think it is definitely preferred, and may actually be considered disrespectful to do. It's not like listening to music. To go for a run and listen to the Dhamma, I'm not convinced that. Because what you're saying is, I can do 2 things at once. I'm going to listen to the Dhamma, but I'm also going to get in shape, right? So your intentions during it are not pure. I mean, not purely Dhamma, not purely I want to learn the Dhamma. That's the first one. Number 2, nasakachang dhammang paryapunanti. Paryapunanti means to memorize, to comprehend, to master the Dhamma. Master, but it probably just refers to memorizing. Or going over it. So this is actually, these are steps, right? You're listening to the Dhamma is something you have to do respectfully, but sometimes you listen and you don't have any sense of the need to remember it. You say, okay, well that was really an interesting talk, and then you forget about it and go home. This is called someone who keeps the Dhamma in their lap. It's the person with lap Dhamma, because if you put anything on your lap, then when you stand up, it all, like if you have some beans or rice or something on your lap, and then you stand up, it all flies all over the place. You can't keep it. Someone who has the Dhamma, like the Dhamma on their lap, is someone when they stand up, they're listening to the Dhamma quietly, when they stand up, they forget it. It goes, scatters. So, not just listening and saying, oh, that was really nice that I listened to the Dhamma. In order to keep the Dhamma, in order to preserve the Dhamma for yourself, even just for yourself, but also just as keeping the Dhamma in the world, we have to remember it. We have to think of these 5 things, these 4 things, these lists we should keep in mind, try to remember. Number 3, nasakachang dhammang dharinti. Not really sure what dharinti means. Let's look up the difference between these. Reads? I don't know. Valamjinti. Let's see what Bhikkhu Bodhi says about it. Yeah, because the third one is keep. Okay. So the second one is memorizing it. When you're in the process of remembering it, it's committing it to memory. Number 3 is dharinti, means to hold. So dharinti actually comes from the word dharma, or that's where the word dharma comes from, or dhamma. But it's a different meaning. Here dharinti means one holds it. So you've remembered it, you retain it in your memory. Right? So sometimes you remember something, it's fine, I remembered it, but then you never think of it about it again. So, really the meaning here is Buddhists should be keeping this stuff in mind. Monks will recite these things, should be going over these, reading them. Nowadays we have books, we read them again and again to keep them in mind. Number 4, nasakachang dhatanang dhammanang attang upaparikhanti. So that Dhamma which has been kept in mind, one doesn't, and again each one is the word is used sakachang, so it involves careful and carefully, thoroughly, respectfully, with a sense of reverence or a sense of importance. It's interesting, this word sakachang, before going any further, it's funny to come across this because I'm working on a research project to redefine the word religion. We have to, in this course I'm taking on the study of religion, we have to do a research project. So I chose as my research project study of the word religion and an attempt to redefine it. And I'll cut right to the chase. My definition of religion is that which you take seriously. And this word sakatjang sums that up quite well. This is the essence of religion in my mind. Religion doesn't have to do with God or faith. That's not the meaning of religion. Just because you believe in God doesn't mean you're religious, you see. In the same way, just as I believe in Australia, doesn't mean that doesn't make me religious, because I don't care. I believe in Australia, but it doesn't move me. I don't place any importance on that knowledge, or I place very little importance. So it's a very unreligious, relatively speaking. So some people are like that with God. They believe in God, as Christians or Jews. Say Jews, it's a big thing. They believe in God, but it doesn't mean anything to them. It's like, yeah, so what? It's not important to them. It doesn't affect how they live their life. But they, kind of believe in God. And then there's the people who the belief in God is very important to them, and it informs their life. They take it seriously. So it's very religious for them. People do that with dieting. People diet religiously. They exercise religiously. It means they take it seriously. Other people diet not so religiously, irreverently, sacrilegiously, unreligiously. They don't take it seriously. So this idea here, this one will be a really good, this word will be a really good word to use. Talking about Buddhist. I was just thinking, maybe I'll write a book one day called Buddhist Religion. And the idea will be not just another book that tells you about Buddhism, but a book that tells you about religion from the point of view of a Buddhist. I think that would be an interesting book to read, to write. Because I think it would be a little more practical, You'd make religion the focus, and then it's all about you, the path. It's about spirituality. It's a universal topic. But then you look at it how a Buddhist sees that, how the Buddha saw that, right? You look at where religion came from for the Buddha. How did the Buddha come to religion? And then you look at how the Buddha taught, what was the essence of religion to the Buddha. But you try to make it sort of universal. I'm not saying, well, this is something that belongs to the Buddha, but it's how the Buddha saw the religious life. The brahmacharya is another good word, right? He didn't use the word Buddhism. He rarely used the word Buddhasasana. But he often used the word brahmacharya, which was a word he borrowed. It's a word that just means the holy life. Maybe I'll write a book called Buddhist Religion someday. See, good comes of studying. Those of you who are concerned that I'm going back to university, this was the point. Agree or not, it's going to let me be able to write a book someday. Another book. Great, huh? So the word sakatjang means seriously or sincerely. So those dhammas that have been memorized, one does not sincerely or seriously undertake to upaparikanti, to examine, to study, contemplate, to investigate. So you learn about the four satipatthana, that sounds nice, but you don't ever think about how do you practice that? What does this mean? It's funny how you could read the Satipatthana Sutta and not ever get to the point where the Buddha's actually talking about doing this. It's not just something you read and say, oh yes, I agree with that. It's funny how we can read these practical manuals and say, yeah, I agree with that, I'm a Buddhist. I think that's a great thing to do. sometimes you get this about Buddhists about meditation. They say, "Oh yes, meditation is great. Do you meditate?" "Oh no, no, I don't have time, but I know it's great." Which, it's not something to be laughed at exactly, but it's a shame, really. But sometimes we don't. That's the next step, actually. But this one means we don't even investigate it. We don't even think about what it means. We memorize it. I guess that's really the point. Is up to this point, the things that we've talked about are memorizing, keeping in mind. But even a parrot can do that. My teacher he's good at backhand compliments. He's several occasions. I got really good at speaking Thai, and and I have a good memory, so I memorized the Patimokkha. He asked me to memorize the Patimokkha. He was asking every monk, though, so I wouldn't take that to mean anything. Everybody, he was pushing them to learn. The Patimokkha are the rules of the monks, and so he pushed us to memorize. He was pushing monks to memorize it, which I think is important. It's one of his duties as a head monk. But I took it seriously, and I learned it. And he went and he was praising me about it all the time, saying, "Oh yes." It's like he talked about these. How did he use? But he used the idea of a parrot. Anyway, he's always talking about this Western person. There's a really famous American, I think, who learned how to sing Thai songs and sound just like a Thai person. There's very famous, I think there's a couple actually, maybe a man and a woman, and they're able to sing Thai songs, and they became very famous in Thailand because they sound just like Thai people. And he was saying, well, here we have Pranoa. We can't teach him to sing, so we got him to learn the Patimokkha. Just like, I don't remember how the parrot came in, but he did manage to insert the parrot analogy in there, just like a parrot. Doesn't really say anything yet. The rules are fun, because some monks memorize all the rules and then don't keep them all, right? Or don't have any sense of trying to keep them. That's unfortunate. I mean, I don't know. I was talking about the rules. Anyway, let's not go into that so much. I was talking about that today. All these rules that monks have. I won't go into that though tonight. The point here is just memorizing, but not thinking about what does this actually mean. Not even using it as teachings, right? Memorizing it, and then even sometimes you memorize it and you can tell it to others, but you've never thought about using it yourself, right? Investigating, thinking about. I think foreigners, newcomers to Buddhism don't generally have this problem. They may have the problem of not being concerned with memorizing, because they don't generally have the same sense, the deep sense of religiosity, I think. So they may not as much memorize, but that's not even true. Sometimes newcomers are best in all things because they don't have this sort of taking it for granted that cultural Buddhists might. Anyway, all of us, cultural or not, to make it a religion, we have to take it seriously. So we have to actually not just memorize, but investigate, study, think about. It's number 4, right? So we listen to the Dhamma with respectfully. We memorize it respectfully. We keep it memorized. If you don't keep it up, you'll forget it. You do that respectfully, or sincerely, or with carefully. And then we study it, or we investigate it. We work out ways to apply it. We do that carefully. We're sincere about that. And number 5, nasakachang. These are negatives. This is how it's going to decline. If we don't do this, it'll decline. So number 5, nasakachang attamanyaya dhammamanyaya dhammanudhammang patipajanti. Which means understand. Attam anyaya. Anya. Anya means, is that referring to knowledge? Manyaya. Atta manya. What does that? Manya. Manyaya. Manyati. Oh, right. So that Dhamma which you have thought about, because the last one was one thinks about it. If one doesn't think about it respectfully. This one, having thought about it, having thought about the Dhamma and the meaning of the Dhamma, attamanyaya, dhammamanyaya. I think that's what that means. One doesn't practice the Dhamma respectfully. And Dhammanudhamma is an interesting compound. It's taken to mean practicing the Dhamma, which is the mundane teachings, in order to realize the Dhamma, which is the truth, the underlying truth and reality that is taught by the Dhamma. If one doesn't practice to realize the truth, the Dhamma will still fade away and disappear. So I think this is it's good because, you see, it gives us a clear understanding of how the Dhamma is supposed to be, is meant to be approached. Yes, learning the Dhamma is important, listening to the Dhamma is important. Yes, memorizing the Dhamma is important. Yes, keeping it in mind is important. But as well, investigating the Dhamma is important, and practicing it. Practice has to be based not only on memorizing and keeping in mind, but also on a proper understanding, and that's what investigating means. It doesn't mean you sit around thinking about the Dhamma a lot. It means you actually go from just memorizing it as words to actually thinking about it as practice, and and that's the bridge between memorization and actual practice. So it's a simple, there's nothing terribly deep or profound here, but it's quite clear and useful. That's what you can say about a lot of the Buddha's teaching, is it's so simple. It just cuts away all the fat, trims away all the fat and all the chaff, and you're left with just the pith and substance. So here we have 5 clear steps that keep the Dhamma from declining. So here you have the Buddha's words. If we do this, if we listen to the Dhamma respectfully, religiously, for lack of a better word, if we memorize the Dhamma religiously, if we keep the Dhamma in mind religiously, if we think about the Dhamma religiously, or investigate or try and understand the Dhamma, and that Dhamma that we've thought about, if we put it into practice religiously, sakacam. These 5 Dhammas cause the Dhamma, sat Dhammasa titya asamosaya anantaradhanaya samvatanti. They lead to the staying of the Dhamma, the fixing of the Dhamma, the firmness, the non-fading away, non-disappearance. So, there you go. That's the Dhamma for tonight. Questions? We got a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to be gone for a week. No more broadcasting, at least until Thursday, probably Friday next week. So get your questions in now. Or wait. Robin, are you with me?
I am, yes. I'm sorry, the page is just loading up. Here we go. Hello, when I am meditating and I start thinking about something, I say thinking, thinking, but then it seems that the thought stops. So I don't feel that I'm looking at the thought as it is, but that I have stopped the thought. What do you think about this?
Yeah, of course, that's what's going to happen because you've got a new thought. But that's not a problem. You see, the point of the noting is to cultivate a sense of this is this, that's all it is. What was that? Normally we say, that was bad, that was good, that was me, that was mine. When you say thinking, you're saying that was thinking. So yeah, it's gone, but that's all it is. Then you can leave it because you understood that that was thinking. The point is to stop the judgments, to stop the reactions. And that's accomplished, so back to your practice.
What do you think about Facebook? I started to notice that any information that comes through Facebook will come up in meditation in one way or another. My mind is occupied with useless information, which I try to be free from, not to obtain more. How much is too much?
Well, trying to be free from information is not proper practice. Information is just information. You should note it as thinking. So in that sense, Facebook isn't a problem. But there is a problem with too much information. Practically speaking, it makes it more difficult to be mindful. The big problem is that when you're not mindful, and for example, you're looking at Facebook, you're not clear in your mind, so there's a lot of delusion being built up, and confusion, and that's going to come back. That's what's going on in the meditation when you think about these things. There's a sense of ignorance, for if nothing else. It means that at the moment when you're thinking about these things again, you're not clearly aware of them just as thoughts, so you start to judge them as a result. But it's important that you understand that in the terms of the practice, we're not trying to get rid of the thoughts. Just see the thoughts as thoughts, no matter how much they come up. What do I think about Facebook in general? I think Facebook is a terrible thing. I've never found Facebook to be in any way, on any meaningful level, meaningful. There's just too much humdrums, maybe the word, I don't know. It's too worldly for me. So that's what I think about Facebook. I guess that's sort of what you're finding as well. I wouldn't use Facebook. You know, it's a much better place. I just kind of, I'm not sure if I should be saying it, but if you're interested in the kinds of things that should be on Facebook, a good place is Reddit. Reddit.com. I think much higher of Reddit, and there's if you're able to sift through the garbage on Reddit, people are very intelligent, and they have good answers about things. You'll have an article on some science or some health issue, or even there's a Buddhism channel, and you'll have people talking about it and giving really good answers, good comments. So if we're just talking, as friends about places on the internet that are of any good, I think Reddit's better. I'm sure there's a lot of garbage on Reddit as well.
Hello, should I note disliking and aversion, or should I go back to trying to see the object as it is as I have failed to do that. Thank you.
You should note disliking and aversion. Don't ignore them. Don't go back to the object. That's in the past. Note what's in the present. If there's disliking or aversion, note that. But, that'll go in a moment, and then you'll be back at the object. That's fine. Note the object again. Back and forth. But yeah, once you've noted something and it goes away, try to go back to the stomach, really. If you're in meditation. And try to ground yourself on something. Why am I not seeing these highlighted?
Having more problems with my computer today. I don't know. It might be my internet.
I think we got to talk about this website, what's going on with it, because this Ask tab doesn't work the way one would hope it might. Now I'm just getting a spinning circle.
Yeah.
I think it might be the web server. Our server has to be upgraded. We have to get a better something. More power. There was the thing, we moved away from Amazon, and Amazon, the one thing, it's expensive, and the funny thing is we're still paying for Amazon, right?
Yes.
We have to move away from that, but Amazon is really powerful, so it would never stall like this. Okay, I got it back. Did you even click on the... You didn't even highlight that one, I don't think. Or it didn't work.
No, it is highlighted.
Well,
okay.
I don't know. Okay.
I have problem with my anger issues. They are very severe to where my mother has threatened to kick me out of the house. And I'm having a very hard time with memory. Can you please help me?
All I can do is offer you to read my booklet on how to meditate and start to undertake meditation. It's not going to be easy. I can't guarantee that you're going to get success, but if you want to do a meditation course with me, that'd be a much better way to ensure success. You can do it on the internet, or even better, come here and do a course. But I would start with reading the booklet, see if it's something you can get your head around, and if so, then take the next step and start to meditate, and maybe come and do a course. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. So I can't help you. You have to help yourself. I mean, that's not true. I can help you, but it's help yourself, I guess.
I can note 5 sense doors while it's happening, but I struggle during meditation with thinking. When I catch myself thinking, the moment I catch the thinking, it's gone. So the main object would be knowing or remembering I was thinking. So my question is when to use thinking and when to use knowing.
I wouldn't overthink it. Doesn't really matter. It was thinking, so you can say thinking. You're knowing that you were thinking, so you can say knowing. It's not magic. It's just keeping you objective. You cultivate this moment of thought where you're clear about what's going on. That's all. Keeps you from all this confusion and doubt and uncertainty. Don't overthink it.
During sitting meditation, the saliva in my mouth starts to build up. Is there a technique to prevent that? This way I have to swallow and note it too. It isn't bothering me, just wondered if this happens to others too. So far it didn't come up in the questions.
No, we're not into preventing things, so if you swallow, you have to say swallowing. Mahasi Sayadaw actually mentions it in his book, so it can't be that uncommon.
During walking meditation, the same thoughts come and go. I stop to note them, then they go away, but after a while they come back. It's like a monkey mind I'm dealing with. So when is it okay to just ignore them and go back to walking?
Well, in walking, we tend to say you can ignore minor thoughts. You'd only really have to stop and note them if they're really distracting. Like if it's really something that you're curious about or interested in or distracted by. And again, it's not, I have no magic answer for you, and the answer I give you isn't going to magically make it better. It's about you learning about yourself, and the noting is just a means of getting your mind back on track. So it's not magic, like if I catch every thought, I get a level up or extra life or something. It's not a game. It's about learning about yourself. So again, don't overthink it too much. There's some leeway.
Bhante, for seeing one needs eye faculty, light, objects, and mind. However, many times one sees things very clearly with eyes closed. Needed help understanding the difference, or how is it seeing within the four faculties? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a fairly unimportant question, because if it's seeing, okay, it is a good question. It's probably not one I'm keen to dwell on here, but why? Because seeing is seeing, so you just say seeing. Who cares what the difference is, right? I mean, it's a reasonable question, but my answer is, so I'm not discarding it as unreasonable, but my answer is, who cares? It's just seeing. Seeing is just seeing. But the technical answer would be that it's called Dhamma Ramana. It's not actually Rupa Ramana. The object isn't light, isn't forms. The object is Dhamma. It's a mental object. But practically speaking, it's still just an experience of seeing. I think. I'm actually not entirely sure, but yeah, I think that's how the Abhidhamma classifies it. Hey, didn't the socialist guy have a better question? Where does good question go?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's
Did you delete his
below
good
now.
question?
No, I didn't delete any questions. It might have sunk below.
I only see two of them. Are there more? Or did we already click on it as answered? Because he had a better one, I thought. These ones are not very good questions.
If we lost one of your questions, please enter it back.
Wait, let's not answer this one, because that'll show up.
Okay.
Let's just delete it. Let's answer it and then delete it. So we're not going to enable chat for YouTube, because that gets toxic. Sorry. Monks can marry? No, monks can't marry. It's not really an appropriate question for this forum. Sorry.
I didn't see another question. Let me see if it's in chat, maybe. Maybe it didn't come over.
Yeah, I read earlier this socialist guy had
I don't know where it went.
Maybe it's under answered. Maybe he deleted it. Maybe people are allowed to delete their own questions. Or she.
Let's see.
Alright, anyway, we're done. So that's all for this week. See y'all in about a week's time. Tomorrow I go to New York. If anyone's in the New York area or that area of the world, you're welcome to stop by. I think the event is on my Facebook page, and you can look up Buddhist Insights in New York on Facebook. Find the event Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if you have to RSVP or not, but
There is an RSVP on it, but probably not too hard of a rule if you don't RSVP.
Then I'll be going to stay with my father, so I won't be doing broadcasting from there probably. I'll still be doing interviews, so if you have, hopefully, if internet holds up. So if you're doing a course with me, you can still try and call me, but be aware that there might be technical difficulties with that. So that's all for today. Good night.
Safe travels, Bhante.
Thanks, Robin.
Good night.